I have a slide presentation for you tonight. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some projects, and then we're going to talk about some policies. And I have been a mayor for a little over 1 year, and I've learned a lot. One thing I learned is you can't change everything that you wanted to. But because we have no money, I can't change it anyway, even if I wanted to. So, you know, I'm kind of caught in the middle of this stuff. But anyway, the first thing I want to talk about is some projects and that the city has just finished and some that we've just about started. The first is a Basin 3 sewer rehabilitation project. As you know, many years ago, the past commission took on the new sewage treatment plant and took on redoing all of our basins in the city of Shelton. It was a bold move. It was a move that had to be happened. It hadn't been addressed properly for probably 30, 40, 50 years. But along with that, it costs a lot of money. So our last major basin project is the Basin 3 sewer rehabilitation project. When we started talking about this in the first of the year, I kept going to every meeting and I would say, how can we pay for this? Because we did the sewage treatment plant, we did these other basins. How are we going to pay for this? How are we going to pay for this? You know, because I come from the world where I communicate with the community and I work for the community, and that in our community, we're not exactly Mercer Island. We hate to do these things and just keep putting the bill back on the ratepayers who are having a hard time in this economy. But what I did do is I said, look, we've got to find some funding for this, or try to. And so we had heard about a grant process where if you go to the state and you hire a lobbyist, you go and you might be able to get on the list for their capital fund and you might get some money. So we hired a lobbyist, and he is there and he is endeavoring to get some money for this Basin 3. Hopefully we can get it, and we just don't have to keep passing this on to the ratepayers. And so the Basin 3 project looks like it's going to be an estimated $3.8 million, and this will be that last major rehabilitation project. This was mandated by the Department of Ecology. We either got to do it or go to jail, or whatever you do when you don't do things they tell you to do. So I'm all for it, but I'm going to really be dragging my feet if we can't find some money other than just putting it on these ratepayers. Second, a project that we are also looking into and trying to procure funding for, if that's the proper way. It's a sewer connection that connects the main sewage treatment plant to the satellite plant. And when this project is completed, it will allow for the effective use of existing treatment capacity in both plants. So we'll have more capacity. With Shelton Hills coming on and whatnot, this is a great idea and a great thing to connect those two plants together. This will also allow for new economic development. And again, I mentioned that we have hired a lobbyist to try and find some money. And we looked for a polite term for the word lobbyist, and we couldn't find one, so we just said we hired a lobbyist. I mean, if that's what you do, we didn't invent the game, but we're definitely going after some money. Next is the SR3 Entering Corridor. Now, this has been talked about. I used to sit on the city of Shelton, what do they call the little advisory groups and stuff, and we talked about this like back when I was about 14, about that entryway, you know. In the marina, when I first kind of came around Shelton, they had those big, huge oil tanks and everything. Well, those are gone, and that's looking really beautiful there. But it was always an idea to help that little entryway coming in. It was David Shelton's pear orchard, you know, and so we are moving forward on this. There's two parts to this. The first is the pear orchard. The second is the park and ride project. And when complete, this will improve the entrance to the city, as we all know it will. You might remember this back in 2011, there was the old brick sewage treatment plant, concrete thing. The city tore that down, so this will be a continuation of that. And so that will make our city entrance look a lot better. Does somebody push a button? Thank you. I told Terry over here is the gentleman pushing the button. And the only reason he's pushing it and not me is because he gives me opportunity for jokes. I look for those opportunities. Canyon Creek. Many of you probably know about the Canyon Creek area that gets flooded out every year. And as we started this last year, one of our first things to do was to address this issue. It's been something that has been happening a long time. In meeting with the homeowners down there, we realized we had to take care of this, so again, we hired a consultant. Now, my opinion is I don't like to hire consultants because usually I know pretty much everything we got to do anyway. But I found that with government entities, you have a consultant, it gives you credibility to the fund people and all that kinds of stuff. So if there's any consultants here, I like you, I'm for you, just I don't want to pay for you, that's all. No offense. But we hired one, and it's good because what happens is, that's a true story. I'll laugh too hard. What we have with this area is downtown Sheldon. It's a long-term flooding issue. And so by having this consultant come on, we've addressed some issues that need to be taken care of. One thing we did is, you might remember last summer, we dredged the creek there. And it's a Shelton Creek, and it did reduce some of the flooding along that area. Our next thing that we are proposing to do would be to run like an overflow line that comes and kind of takes some water out of that area and moves it on down to where the pear orchard is, and so we're looking at that. Our long-term goal is that we have potential solutions for this community that last without having to address it year after year after year. And I think we're on the right road, and I think this commission has done the right thing in addressing that, especially for that neighborhood. The Dayton Airport Water Project. Okay, as many of you know, we've been running some water lines out there by the airport. And when this is completed, it will provide water to the Washington State Patrol, and it will provide connections to the county public workshops and open up other opportunities for new development in that area. So we are planning ahead. Even in this economic hard time, we are kind of trucking forward and moving, trying to move into an area that when the economy does come back, thank you, Terry, for mentioning that it will come back, that we are ready. In fact, Shelton, the port, the Mason County, we are ready for growth. This area has been, for years and years, the city of Shelton needs a lot of credit for trudging through this huge infrastructure projects. We are ready for growth. You know, I wanted to just pave the highways when I got elected. I'm just going to pave these highways. Then I realized there was nothing to pave over. We had to go underneath and fix all the pipes first. So once we get these basins taken care of, once we pave these streets, once Mason County Transit gets their new operation all up, and once we start doing it, we can pave these roads. And folks, Shelton is a beautiful city, and it's a great place to live, and we can do it. But it does cost money, as we all know. So anyway, that's my story on that. Okay, this is the water line that we're running out to the Port of Shelton's Johns Prairie Industrial Park. And what this does, this is a partnership. Now also, the city of Shelton, well, I got that later. I remembered I wrote a note on that. But so I'll just talk about this now. This allows for new industrial businesses out there. It was a partnership with the Port of Shelton and the city. And we all want to thank PUD for helping to get the water line in that area. It supplies water for their new facility. So that's another great infrastructure project that we did. Pioneer Way, Lake Boulevard. Anybody who lives out there and drives on those roads, I should be hearing a big cheer on this one. Yeah, there, I knew there'd be somebody. I knew. I wrote this is good news to many. Funding finally has been secured, okay, to replace the pavement on Pioneer Way and Lake Boulevard. It's finally happened. This project will enhance both the pedestrian and stormwater facilities. It is designed in this year, 2013, and construction will likely, notice how politicians always say it likely will happen, in 2014. And I know that the people that drive on that road have been asking that question for a long time. There's a program, and it's called Safe Routes to School. It's a federal program, and we have just been notified that we will receive a $500,000 grant, which will be to build sidewalks near Evergreen Elementary and the residential areas west of downtown. We will also be working on frontage standards so this can be done affordably. I want to repeat that. We are, as a commission, looking at the frontage standards in Shelton so all things can be done affordably. Because in this economy, we need to help people do projects and make them affordable. Did you push the button already? All right, thank you. Next, And if any of this is boring, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can, you know. I'm not like a paid stand-up comedian or anything, you know, and I'm not as polished as Terry. Nice job on the presentation. Very good. You didn't have to read all that stuff. But we're only halfway through, so hang in there. This one is actually another partnership with the Department of Transportation, and we're going to be paving between, it looks like, actually the project goes all the way from Highway 3, the south border of town goes all the way to Railroad. And the city is going to be adding 2 more blocks onto that. So we're kind of working with them, and I believe this is supposed to be happening this summer. Is that correct? Sounds good, Commissioner Olson. And so this is also going to include upgrades on handicapped ramps. All right. Doing a lot of stuff in Shelton. The Franklin Street project. Okay, this is right across the street from the Mason County Transit. And this project is a new curb, sidewalk, gutters will be added along the south side of Franklin Street between 5th and 8th. New sidewalk panels cover Shelton Creek across the street from the Mason County Transit Community Center. This incorporates upgraded ADA accessibility improvements, and these improvements will benefit Safeway, Shelton Cinemas, MTA, and adjacent schools and patrons. A lot of work to be done in downtown Shelton. Okay, now let's move on to policies. These are some policy things we're working on. Turning my little page there. Partnerships. I'm really excited. I think the drama is over, and I think we have an atmosphere between the Mason County Commission and the Port of Shelton, the Chamber, PUDs. I'm really excited because we are forging new partnerships with all of these people all the time, and when you do that, things happen. So an example of this is that Shelton and Mason County are working on a contract where they would share equipment and perhaps even more. So as money gets tight and stuff, we can look at areas where, why buy 2 of these when we might only need 1? We might be able to share this. So we are looking into that. And I think we have to think outside the box because money gets harder and harder to find. And as those things happen, we need to work together. And I'm really excited about working with these other groups. Okay, here's that big plant that we built. Okay, had to be done, and we built it, which adds capacity that will accommodate economic development and enhance environmental protection. This upgrade was ordered by the Department of Ecology with no money to do it. Thank you. That's one of them unfunded mandates. We borrowed the money to do the project, and the debt service is $1 million per year. Now, the good thing is we got that beautiful plant, and it's going to last for a real long time, and we had to do it. The downside is that it's going to cost some money, and that rate increases are necessary to pay the cost. But I can tell you, every night at 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up trying to figure out how we don't have to do that. How there isn't some grant someplace, and so we are, and I will continue to push to find money, other places to pay for a lot of stuff that other cities have just gotten paid for flat out in the past. A lot of these things just got flat out paid for because of grants or whatever, so I'm really looking into that. But it looks like rates are going to be going up, and they're going up with all of us commissioners, I believe, kicking and screaming, but we know when you make a commitment like this and the bill is due, you got to get the money. So, but this is also the good news on that, is that, as Terry mentioned, this opened up approximately 72 acres of new shellfish beds and was a contributing factor to upgrading 750 acres of existing shellfish aquaculture. So there's a real benefit to having a plant that does what that one does. Now, I went to work today, and the city employees gave me a gift. Okay. A lot of times, you know, I don't know how it is, Terry, with you and the people you deal with. They'll give you a cake or a cheesecake, or they'll give you a little box of chocolates or something. But Vicki looked there. She was very excited. She says, Mayor, we've got a gift for you, the employees. Because at one of the meetings, the last meeting, I was talking about what this plant does. It also, a little building behind there, what it does is it makes fertilizer for your gardens. And it so that we don't, and so I thought of me, I said, well, can I use that fertilizer for my vegetable garden? And Mike Michaels, our engineer, said, yes, you can. It's 99.9% pure. There's nothing in there that can hurt you. And so the city of Shelton employees gave me a bag of fertilizer today. And they thought this was real cool because we believe the engineer. Don't believe all engineers, but anyway, they believed him when he said that this was light pure and everything, but they brought it into the office to give it to me and it smelled, so they had to lock it in a room. Okay, so anyways, then I thought, well, I'm going to bring that tonight and use it as a prop. Well, Vicki, Look, and Terry, they all convinced me that would not be a good thing to bring into this room with a beautiful dinner. So even though the engineer says it's 9.999% pure and it doesn't smell, they're gagging up there in the city employees' restroom or whatever, office rooms there. So that was my gift they gave me. I got it in my trunk right now. I just put my wife's purse next to it. So anyway, if you break into my trunk, hopefully you'll die of carbon monoxide poisoning or something. So that was a gift. But that's a long joke to tell us. True story is that little building right here. I think that's it, right there. Is that it? That produces a fertilizer, and you can use it on vegetable gardens, you can use it on flower beds, you can do it whatever. And our attempt is to give it away for free. I believe that's what they've just got it, so I think they're just about now starting to produce this stuff, real close. And you go out there and they'll give it to you for free. Now that you say, well, gee, why don't you sell it and make money? Well, one thing is we give it for free, it gets out of there. The other deal is that it means that we don't have to, by processing it, we don't have to take care of that solids and go spray it on fields and do all that stuff. So we've killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Thing. That's not politically correct. We've accomplished 2 goals with 1 stroke. That's a better way. We don't want to kill birds anyway. So what happens is if you want some fertilizer, you go out that little building, you've got to make an appointment or something, and they will help you load that up and you can put it on your flower beds. I'm going to try my vegetable garden, so I'm sure my potluck attendances will go down greatly if they know that's what I'm doing. But anyway, that's the story on the sewage treatment plant, and they say that it's 0.9999% pure and will not hurt anything you put it on. Next is Shelton Hills. It's coming. Go to the next slide, please. That's a joke. Shelton Hills, we've heard Shelton Hills, Shelton Hills, Shelton Hills, Shelton Hills. It's in the process. It's okayed. We're moving forward. Hopefully it will all happen. The one thing that we're kind of doing right now, I think, and all the paperwork is in motion, is kind of working. The developer is working with the Department of Transportation on how they make all those interchanges and how they pay for it and who does the ramps. And so that's the process. Once those interchanges kind of happen, then we are expecting a growth in that area. And that's been a long time coming. And I want to thank the port and the county and everyone else involved with a long, hard battle that we finally think we got something that's going to be beneficial to the community. Next. Here's another partnership. The City of Shelton worked with the Chamber of Commerce's Saver Committee on the Savers Project, First Street and Railroad. And you may have noticed that right down on First and Railroad, there used to be these tall trees. Well, we cut them down, or somebody cut them down. And they're going to landscape it and put this little monument thing there and everything. And the Saver Group is a subcommittee on the Chamber. And what it stands for is Shelton Alliance for Viable Economic Revitalization. So it's a long term for a group. But anyway, this was a little partnership, and it's great to have these things because we work together, we can get things done. So that's it. And the monument's coming. The monument's coming. It's not like a tombstone, is it? Monument. It's going to say something. Got a nice little thing there. Okay, marijuana cannabis there. Okay. All right, I was going to pull this one, but I figured, well, things are getting a little boring. It'd be something that we kind of talk about. It's kind of a confusing thing because the feds want one thing, and the state wants one thing, and then the voters voted it in, and so now we got to kind of deal with it. And what we have chosen to do is keep our moratorium in place. Hopefully, the state will have a little more clarification on what they're doing. Hopefully, other cities that are jumping in will learn some of the good or the bad ways to do things, and that we can learn from them. But it looks like we're going to have to deal with this thing. So this is called the way it is. So that's all I think I want to say on that one. I didn't vote for it myself. All right, next. Let's see what we got here. Urban growth, area expansion. There's a potential site, an industrial site that's up there between Sanderson Field and the Washington Correction Center, and this has been talked about as a possible industrial site. Most of the utilities are in place in this area. There's a transportation system that's there. Industrial uses currently surrounding the site is the prison, the airport, the waste transfer station, racetrack, public workshops. And this is like a cooperative, another partnership effort with the Economic Development Council and the Mason County and the city. On the possibility of this site, the long-term benefits are city taxes, thank you. Short-term benefits would be that the community has employment opportunities. I'm almost done. I'm getting down to my last 2 or 3 pages. Next is a rezone proposal. Downtown Shelton has a couple of zones. One's called downtown commercial and the other is general commercial. Well, we have a spot down there that's been the major car used to be a dealership for like the past 100 years, and what we're looking to do is proposing to rechange that zoning so that that would enable someone to possibly go in there with that type of business. Evidently, there's 2 zones down there right now, and so we are hoping that this general commercial zone will be more fitting with the existing businesses that have always been there. So that's what we're looking at. Okay, 2 more items. I know you're pushed for time. I'm getting out of here. It says, Parks and Recreation, Metropolitan Park District was established in 2011. Is now the 3rd year of dedicated funding approved by the voters. 2013 projects include community trails, Callahan Park, Green Lot renovation, Art Johnson Park renovation master plan. Last but not least is our new HVAC system at the Civic Center. And what happened is we got some grant dollars to help pay for this. We borrowed some money, but the energy savings will take care of it, and it should be just great, and it will pay for its service. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.